Hello, fourth grade. Welcome to All Block. Today you will complete Poetry Lesson Part 1, Prose and Poetry. What's the difference? What's the same? Prose versus poetry. Writers of prose and poetry present information with a purpose. They create sensory images and tell a story. Sensory images appeal to the reader's sense of hearing, smell, taste, touch, and vision. It helps the reader play a movie or paint a picture in their mind. What makes prose and poetry different is the writer's purpose and how the writer presents or structures their words. Prose versus poetry. Prose is written or spoken language like talking. Typically, it's organized in sentences and paragraphs. Poetry is a genre of literature that expresses ideas, feelings, or tells a story, but it is organized with lines or stanzas. Let's watch a movie together. Literature is defined as written work or text in a particular subject. Simply put, everything we read is literature. So, let's examine two ways that language is used in literature. Both prose and poetry writers are presenting some type of information. Writers of both prose and poetry can create sensory images for us, and they can tell a story. But what makes poetry and prose different is how they present the information and the purpose. So let's put prose and poetry head to head. Prose is really just a normal conversation, and when it's written, it takes the form of sentences and paragraphs. Look at this article. See how everything is structured to be sentence and paragraph form? As it informs us, this is what we read. When we read a story, again, the structure is set up as in paragraphs and sentences, and reads more like a conversation. Oh, and poetry, however, is what we would consider more unconventional and not our normal conversation. Poetry focuses on emotions and uses language in a very unusual and different way. We get a lot of great feeling from poetry. Poetry is more of a sound experience, and like music, it is meant to be experienced more than once. Poetry is meant to be read out loud. Let's look at this poem. This poem is not structured into individual paragraphs, but rather stanzas, and the way it's written is meant to be experienced. Lightning is angry in the night. Thunder spanks our house. Rain is hating on our elm. It punishes the boughs. The writer uses the structure of stanzas. Now let's look at a poem written by Shel Silverstein. The title is Spaghetti. Spaghetti, oh spaghetti, all over the place. Up to my elbows, up to my face. Over the carpet and under the chairs. Into the hammock and wound round the stairs, filling the bathtub and covering desk, making the sofa a mad, mushy mess. The party is ruined. I've terribly worried. The guests have all left, unless they're all buried. I told them, bring presents. I said, throw confetti. I guess they heard wrong, 'cause they all threw spaghetti. Now, as this poem is telling a story and creating a movie in your mind. You are telling a story of what you think is happening. When you tell the story of what you think this poem is about, you are using prose. Let me read you my prose and see if the story you painted in your mind matches my story. Spaghetti by Jessica Mize-Wilson. These are not Shel Silverstein's words. These are my words because this is the prose version. Follow along with your finger. Spaghetti for my birthday dinner was just what I wanted. I told Mom I would make the noodles while she finished cleaning the house. I boiled the water and dumped an entire box of noodles in the water. Before I knew it, noodles were multiplying. I guess I made too many because when I tried to climb up the stairs to get help, noodles were climbing up the stairs faster than me. They were slithering over the carpet and hiding under the chairs. Just as the doorbell rang, Mom yelled down, "What is happening? I'm trapped in the bathtub, covered in noodles." I opened the door as noodles oozed out around me. All of my friends looked worried. I was worried. We didn't know what to do. Then Betsy threw a noodle right at me and said, "Happy birthday!" Then everyone started throwing noodles like confetti. Everyone was laughing. We stomped over the noodles and made a mushy mess on the sofa. Noodles were up to my elbows and to my face. We finally cleared enough noodles for Mom to be free from the tub. We looked around and laughed at the mess. Betsy said this was the best food fight birthday party ever. The party left, and Mom and I started cleaning. We found a few of my friends in the hammock, still covered with noodles. What a memory. Spaghetti, oh, spaghetti. So thinking about reading Shel Silverstein's Spaghetti and then telling my own version in prose. I want to compare and contrast and talk about how the prose and the poem were similar and different. I'm going to lift a line from the prose and I'm going to lift a line from the poem. The first similarity is they are both about the same topic. They're both about a birthday party, spaghetti mess. In the example of prose, it said Betsy said this was the best food fight birthday party ever. In the example from the poem, it said, I told them, bring presents. I said, throw confetti. I guess they heard wrong because they all threw spaghetti. These two lines show that they are both about the same topic. A difference is the poem has rhyming words and meter, while the prose doesn't. I'm going to give an example of a line from the prose that does not rhyme. I opened the door as noodles oozed out around me. All of my friends looked worried. I was worried. That line does not rhyme. Here are two lines from the poem that rhyme. The party is ruined. I've terribly worried. The guests have all left unless they're all buried. Notice how the author wants these two to rhyme. So you would read buried a little bit different so they would rhyme. Difference 3. The poem is written in stanzas and lines, and the prose is written in paragraphs with appropriate punctuation. Here's an example from the prose. We found a few of my friends in the hammock still covered with noodles. What a memory. Spaghetti, oh spaghetti. So those are two sentences. And then this is one stanza. Over the carpet and under the chairs, into the hammock and wound round the stairs. The other part you could notice is when you look at this, you see the stanza here, and then you see the second stanza here. So those are two different stanzas. And when we click over here, you can see this paragraph, and last, this paragraph to make 3 paragraphs. Thank you for listening to Poetry Lesson Part 1. I look forward to talking to you more about poetry and looking for ways you can turn a poem into prose, or even read a prose and turn it into your own poem.